What if the secret to happiness began with admitting that life hurts? And what if smiling more did not remove pain, but somehow made it easier to notice what pain was already teaching? This question feels odd, because most stories promise joy first and suffering later. Yet the story of the Buddha seems to flip that order and calmly ask why we keep running from discomfort as if it were a monster. Long before becoming a statue or a calm face on posters, Buddha was a curious prince who noticed that even golden rooms could not stop time, sickness, or worrying from sneaking inside. Imagine being surrounded by toys that never break, snacks that never run out, and praise that never stops, while still feeling a strange itch that something important is missing. Buddha's question did not sound like why people are sad, but why people are surprised when sadness appears, as if rain were an unexpected guest in a cloudy sky. He watched people chase happiness the way kids chase shadows at sunset, running faster while the shadow stretches farther away. Instead of asking how to grab happiness, Buddha wondered what happens if we stop grabbing at all. This sounds peaceful and confusing at the same time, because letting go can feel like losing something even before you understand what it was. Think about holding a bar of soap too tightly in the bath, because the harder you squeeze, the faster it shoots away, leaving you staring at empty hands. Buddha noticed that wanting life to be different often hurts more than life itself, yet wanting less feels almost like cheating in a world that cheers for more. Here comes the strange part, because Buddha said life includes suffering, but he did not say life is pointless or cruel. It is like saying that learning includes mistakes, without meaning that learning is bad or should be avoided. Some kids feel this when they avoid trying new things, because failing once felt heavier than staying bored forever. Buddha asked whether suffering comes from events themselves, or from the stories we glue onto those events inside our heads. A scraped knee hurts, but the thought that it should not have happened can hurt in a different, stickier way. This is where the idea of awakening enters, not like fireworks, but like noticing you have been wearing shoes that pinch your feet all day. Awakening does not erase pain instantly, but it changes how closely pain sits next to fear and panic. Buddha's path was not a ladder to climb quickly, but more like a long walk where noticing your breath suddenly matters. Breathing sounds boring until you realize you are always doing it, even while worrying about things that are not happening yet. Kids sometimes stare out a window and forget time exists, and in that moment nothing magical happens, yet everything feels lighter. Buddha seemed curious about that lightness because it appeared without buying anything, winning anything, or becoming famous. Still, another voice asks whether caring less means loving less, because letting go sounds cold if misunderstood. Buddha did not say stop loving, but he wondered what love looks like without gripping and fear. Imagine caring for a pet while knowing it will one day leave, yet choosing kindness anyway instead of pretending forever is guaranteed. This way of thinking feels brave and uncomfortable because it refuses easy promises. Some people hear Buddha and think he wanted everyone to stop wanting entirely, turning into quiet statues. Others hear Buddha and think he wanted people to understand their wants so clearly that wants stop controlling them like invisible strings. Both ideas float together without fighting, which can make the brain feel like it is balancing on one foot. Buddha talked about a middle path, which sounds boring until you realize it is harder than extremes. Too much pleasure becomes heavy, too much suffering becomes crushing, and the middle keeps shifting like a narrow bridge. Kids know this bridge when screen time feels amazing at first and exhausting later. Awakening, then, might not be a final answer, but a way of seeing things move. Buddha did not promise a world without loss, but he questioned whether loss must always steal peace as well. This makes happiness sound quieter, less shiny, and strangely stronger. If happiness depends on everything going right, it breaks easily. If happiness comes from understanding change, it bends instead of snapping. Still, doubts remain because bending too much can look like giving up. Buddha never shouted instructions, but left questions hanging like lanterns in the dark. Is suffering a problem to erase, or a signal asking for attention? Is awakening an escape from life, or a deeper way of standing inside it? Kids thinking about these questions might feel confused, which is not a mistake. Confusion can be the door that curiosity opens when certainty steps aside. Buddha's story does not end with a neat bow, because awakening is not a trophy placed on a shelf. The questions keep walking with you like quiet companions on an ordinary road. And maybe that road, with all its bumps and pauses, is where awakening waits, without announcing itself, without forcing belief, and without closing the story at all.